Hey Internet, it's RJ. Welcome back. Thanks for tuning into the show today. Now, it is the end of January, so you know what that means. We're going to close out with our usual Q&A. So when the Riddler goes up, you guys throw your questions down below. I'm just going to go through them from the comment section, hopefully give you guys some answers. So chapters tool down below if you want to skip around. But we're talking about all sorts of things from the Delta Reserve card. We have some things about trips for families, believe it or not. And then somebody even asked me, an Apple guy, a Google question, so I'm sure that will go well. So without further ado, go ahead, press the subscribe button, and let's get to work. Now, first off, we have our buddy Leo checking in. So this question is about Amex Delta Reserve cards. That's the purple one from Delta and American Express, specific to the companion certificate. So he's saying, hey, I've read some horror stories about it. Basically, tons of blackout dates, sold out dates, higher prices for actual tickets compared to regular bookings. So he's thinking about upgrading the Delta Gold card to the Reserve, specific for the certificate, so it's kind of a big deal. Now, I'm assuming that because you're upgrading from gold to reserve, and this will be set like the second year of your account or more, they will give you the companion certificate in year number 1 of the reserve. Normally, that's a perk that they give you in year number 2, so I don't know, you might want to double check that. Maybe you have already, so that's number 1. But to answer your question, I've heard similar things about it. I have the Delta Platinum that comes with a certificate as well, but it's not for the fancy stuff up front. It's just for main cabin things. So I'll put the rules on screen here. Now, I'd be lying to you if I tell you I knew what all the seat letters meant and everything. But, I've heard similar. I even think the Points guy has an article that I'll link to down below where they actually go through and book a Delta One ticket with this, and they do end up paying like $400 more because of the way they had to book the exact thing you're talking about. So to answer your question, I think you're probably right to a degree, but it's going to be more a function of how flexible and how far in advance are you going to book would be my guess. If you're trying to do something the same month, you're definitely going to run into some issues, I would think. But if you're 2-3 months out, maybe something planned, then I think you'll be okay with some flexibility in there given how far out it is. If anyone has the reserve, definitely let us know your data points down below, but I'd say give it a try because you can definitely get some value out of it. Next up, we have Puerto Rican Sloth checking in. Any experience with Google Fi? No, sir. Sorry, I don't. My understanding of Google Fi is what I see on the YouTube ads, so I have the jingle committed to memory, unfortunately. So it's like a phone service from Google. I have Verizon myself, so anyone with Google Fi experience out there, can you drop some comments down below, your thoughts, kind of help our guy out. Sorry, I just don't have any experience myself. So we move on to T. Lewis talking about Chase Purgatory, so something I do have experience with. So he said, hey, I'm finally about to get out of Chase Purgatory, so he means Chase 524, and he wants a travel card. Not doing a bunch of traveling, but between 2 to 3 trips a year tops. Amex and Cap One have 100K offers, or the Sapphire Preferred Reserve be the better choice. Current travel cards, Amex Green, which he's going to cancel, and Hilton Surpass, which he's moving to the Honors. So good choices here. Out of the options you gave, I would say Capital One Venture X, because the 100K offer, and you can get, if you just use everything the card has, which is fairly easy, I think you come out ahead by like $5 every year. Plus, you're going to get the lounges. Now, I do think with a caveat, if you're based out of DFW or somewhere where a Capital One lounge is coming, that could play a huge part in it, or you do get priority pass as well. Now, if you don't care about any of that stuff, then the Sapphire Preferred sounds like it's the way to go. Again, $95 effective, annual fee of $45. Once you factor in that hotel credit, and then you have all the basic insurances that you would need and want on a travel card. So the answer might be Capital One Venture X because it's the best sign-up bonus right now. Get it for a year, decide if you like it or not, and then you can move to the Sapphire Preferred. Sapphire Preferred is probably going to be your keeper travel card unless you do, in fact, care about those lounges and stuff. And if you do care about those and you're not based in an area where there's going to be Capital One Lounge, then you might want to go to the Sapphire Reserve. But I think one of those two, Capital One or Sapphire Preferred, would be the way to go, at least to try it out for your number 1. Mr. Red Sox Nation checking in again. Why is there a war on wealth in America? Man, you have there's definitely a line of questions that you like to go down, but I'll give this one a shot in my opinion and try to not go on a rant. I think the war on wealth is kind of a cyclical thing that we see. If you go back to the 2008 financial crisis, it's right when I graduated high school, but I definitely got into banking shortly after that. I mean, you saw it then too, like you see now. So I do agree with you that there's kind of a perceived war on wealth, but I think it's more of there's always that financial divide, that financial gap. But when things like pandemics and recessions happen, I think the gaps widen and it's more in people's faces. A lot of bad things happened. People had some hard times, but not everyone did. Some people made a ton of money, more money than they ever have before. And when that happens, I think that's kind of what sparks this. Now, in my opinion, you don't get lucky. Normally, you're able to take advantage of situations because of hard work and managing your money that you put in place before this. They say our recessions are garage sales for the prepared, and I believe that. So there's definitely some argument to be had there as well. Overall, we should probably be trying to learn from those people and see what they're doing as opposed to just having all this resentment. So that's my take on it. I agree with you. It's just kind of a cyclical thing, in my opinion. So Paul Jeffries checking in here. So he said, if you knew you wanted to plan an aspirational trip to a particular place like Hawaii, Paris, etc., and you wanted to craft a credit card point strategy to get maximum value to that location, where would you start? So, would you figure out where you want to go, points, whatever. Never actually done this before, but I've talked to some people about it. So I think there's a few different ways. You should probably go ask Sebby first because he seems to always be going to cool places. But I think first of all, you could do some research about the place where you're going. I understand some of these more tropical places, they have peak and off peak. Maybe it's like an island, it's like the rainy season or something, not less touristy. So you kind of got to figure out one, where you want to go, when do you want to go, does it being off peak affect anything that you want to do there? That's going to help you understand pricing a little bit better, probably. And then from there, I think you have a few different options. You can figure out where you want to stay. There's a specific hotel, those overwater villas or something. Maybe it's a Hilton, and you can kind of price that out to get an idea of how many points you need. So the part of it you already know is you just go through and hit your sign-in bonuses to load up on points. But I think I would also do two other things. I would look for specific cards, like niche cards that can come in handy. So to change it, you talked about a beach, but I hate the beach. So if you're saying, hey, maybe I'm going to go to Alaska, right? And there's the Alaska Airlines card, and you're number 2, you get a companion pass for Alaska Airlines, I believe. So realistically, you're probably going from where I'm at, DTW, to probably Seattle, from Seattle on Alaska Airlines to the actual Alaska and back. So could I line up a companion pass like that? Could I line up another card with a companion pass? A lot of companion passes don't do international, but to our earlier question, could I line up, my Delta Reserve certificate and then the Alaska certificate as well? So I'm, bringing myself and a fictitious player too. And the same with hotels, I think. There's reasons to get multiple Hilton Aspire cards, and it's expensive, but there's still a lot of value you can get from them, number one. Number 2, their their free night certificate is pretty good. So can I stack those together? So basically a function of figuring it out, loading up on the points, but then aligning my cards and my certificates to kind of half some of my expenses as well, especially with the hotel keeper cards. So I think that's my guess, or that will be my strategy as someone who hasn't done this admittedly. So I hope that helps. Which Vulgar? That's a funny name. Any thoughts on this changes to the Citi Double Cash? So for people who are unfamiliar, Citi, the Double Cash is their 2% card. It originally only just got 2% cash back, and now they've changed it so it earns thank you points. Now you could think of it like ultimate reward points, right? It's the 2% on thank you points, but you can still cash them out for cash back if you wanted at the 1 cent per point. So if you like cash back, nothing changes. I think this overall, it's a good change. I think all major card issuers should have a unified currency. It makes things easier. I don't like when I see people say this earns points, but this earns cash back, and it turns out to be the same thing. Even Chase does this on their cards. Freedom earns cash back, Sapphire earns points, but it's the same thing. So, bigger thoughts here. I do hope that they're trying to build out their trifecta, but the trifecta's been there forever between the custom cash, the double cash, the premier, and I do think we'll see a prestige eventually, a prestige replacement. I hope that's what they're doing. Simplification is good. Bring it into the family. So I hope they're just going to build on it, really. All right, inevitable. How many credit cards do you currently have now? What's in your wallet? How many Amex MR points do you have saved up? How do you use your MR points? So I did a full what's in my wallet for Q1 of 2022 that I'll link down below. So, but the short story of it, I think I have about 10 cards right now. What's in my wallet? I've been using two cards religiously, the Delta Platinum for a retention offer and then the US Bank Triple Cash. I know I've talked about here before, but both kind of like lengthy sign up bonuses. I spend like $4,500, so it's taken me a little bit of time because I still work in the freedom cards as well because I have a problem maxing things out, as you may have heard me admit in like my New Year's resolution deal. So I'll link that down below. Now, how many Amex points? I think I'm sitting on maybe like 80,000 Amex points, give or take, something like that. I kind of save them up, and because I tend to have points in my Delta account, in my Hilton account or Hyatt or whatever it is, I tend to use those points in a Chase account or even an Amex account to top off the other accounts, right? So I think I was just in there. Like if I was going somewhere in Delta, I'd check my Delta account, like how many points do I need? I'd move over just enough so I can do that. I don't like to send the points over before I know what I'm going to do with them, because if you leave them with, the card issuer, then it helps protect against devaluations, because once you send them over to Delta, they're stuck with Delta. So if something were to change, I can not do that, right? So that's kind of what I save them up for, to top off those other accounts and use them accordingly. At Chase, I will go through the travel portal though. I don't mind it. And like Chase, I have like almost 300,000 points, I think. So gotta do something about that. But there you go. Video will link down below for more information on what's in my wallet. All right, T-Do, any tips for traveling with a family? You gotta be new here, man. Like, my whole shtick is I'm like a solo dude who sits in his room and talks to himself. But we'll take a shot at it. We like to stay in a hotel, but it's often much more expensive when I add the fourth person, and many times not available for the fifth person. I mean, on a serious note, I think was it Wyndham and like IHG you might want to take a look at, because I know you like hotels, so I'm not going to throw out the Airbnb thing. I'm also not a huge Airbnb person, but those like Wyndham and those guys have properties that are kind of like hotel condos, if you will. So they might have multiple rooms, which is nice if you're talking 5 people, and then they also might have like a kitchen where you can cook stuff and have a little more space like that. But you can still use credit card points if you go through Wyndham. I think they're with Barclays, and Wyndham cards are pretty good. Same with IHG, as I learned when I did my credit card rankings. You guys really like IHG, and I was too hard on that. Now, additionally, strategies. I think you look for the player 1, player 2 strategy, and maybe you guys try to line up you get the hotel keeper cards that are giving you free nights. So if you have to go 2 rooms, to accommodate, this, maybe if grown adults or a family, whatever it is, you can line those up. So, Hyatt cards are pretty good. They're going to give you status, and then you're going to get a free reward night. I think you can also spend your way to status as well. I don't know, or spend your way to another free night. I don't know what your spend is like. So things like that. And then you can also play the authorized user game as well. So if you have, the platinum card, for example, and you want to extend some lounge benefits to folks, I know you asked about hotels, but you can add some folks on, like your kids or whatever, as authorized user. I think it's like the same price to add like 3 people onto the card, for example, but you can look to do that with other cards as well. So I think that's going to be your best strategy, aside from just brute forcing it with sign-up bonuses and more points. So Wyndham, IHG, award certificates for hotel keeper cards, things like that. But any family guys out there, let my guy know down below. I did my best for a single guy, man. I'm sorry. All right, last one here. Mr. Ben Latempa checking in. Good to hear from you, sir. So he's thinking about canceling my Amex Gold card. To me, it's underwhelming for the $250 annual fee. Never canceled a credit card before. Was wondering how it will affect my credit score or history. Thanks. It's funny. I feel the same way about the Gold. So with Amex, first of all, I don't know your card setup, but make sure that you've transferred out your membership reward points if you do not have any other Amex cards. Because you close it, then they're going to, the points will, disappear with it if you don't have another Amex card. So that's first of all. Now it's the Gold card, so I'm going to assume you have plenty of other cards. So, canceling it should not be an issue for your credit score. Again, to my knowledge, I believe when you cancel a card, they actually stay on your credit report for like 7 years before it falls off. It's not that big of a deal. It's also a charge card, so canceling it I don't believe is going to affect your utilization or anything like that, because there's a purchase limit. Technically, they have purchase powers on the card, but there's not like a set credit limit because it's still technically a charge card. So you should be fine there as well. So overall, I don't see any damage really to your credit score, credit report. Like again, with Amex, just make sure you're doing it in like after your first year so they don't claw back all those points or blacklist you from anything. So you're talking like, month 13 technically when the annual fee hits. Once that annual fee hits, call them up, or you can do it through chat and do that. As long as you do it within 30 days, they should refund the full annual fee. They might try to talk into a retention offer if you're interested, see what they offer you. If it works, great. If not, just go ahead and cancel. But I think you're fine, and I'm probably going to do the exact same thing, honestly, when mine comes due. So anyways, guys, that is all your questions. I hope I was helpful. If you like this one, drop me a thumbs up down below. If you found it particularly interesting, then consider subscribing to the channel. Again, posting content just like this every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Of course, right back here every Sunday with all the news you can use in the week that was in credit and finance. I won't ask you any questions because I think I just went through them all here, but if you need a follow-up or any additional information, feel free to chat me down below and I can get you some follow-ups, and I'll be sure to link all those extra videos as well. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this one. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you in the next one.